Elara Vance just found the hidden clause in her own medical file. Paragraph 7.1, Symbiotic Integration. It grants VITA-GEN Industries not just ownership of the therapy that saved her life, but perpetual rights to her modified DNA and all her future descendants. Her breath catches, a sharp, cold pain in her chest that has nothing to do with the cardiomyopathy the treatment cured. The words on the screen blur: perpetual, heritable, ownership. She is a compliance officer for VITA-GEN, hired to ensure ethical boundaries aren't crossed. And she's just discovered the company she audits owns her, body and blueprint, because of the miracle coursing through her own veins. The sterile blue-lit audit room feels suddenly like a cage. 3 years ago, she was dying. The Symbiosis Protocol was a last-chance experimental gene therapy, a whispered secret for top-tier employees and their families. It didn't just halt the deterioration of her heart muscle, it reversed it. She woke up feeling 20 again, branded a walking testament to VITA-GEN's benevolent power. Now that gratitude curdles into a deep, primal fear. What does ownership mean? What are the terms of this symbiosis? The central mystery coils in her gut. What does a biotech giant ultimately do with the millions of people whose biology it now legally controls? Her fingers fly across the keyboard, pulling up the trial database. She cross-references patient IDs with the clause. It's not an error. It's in every single file for the Symbiosis Protocol, over 10,000 recipients so far. A soft chime from the door's security panel makes her jump. Access revoked, flashes a polite, automated message on her main terminal. Her personal audit login, her biometric keys, all invalidated. In 30 seconds, they know she saw it. Elara forces her breathing to slow. She thinks of her niece Chloe, who received a pediatric variant of the therapy for a congenital immune deficiency. Does the clause apply to her too? The emotional hook sinks deeper. This isn't just about her survival, but the future of her family line. She has a backdoor, a legacy system login from a departed colleague, meant for emergency data recovery. It's a fireable offense to use it. Now it feels like her only weapon. She logs in, the interface crude and slow. She searches for the clause's architectural history. One name appears as the primary author, Dr. Aris Khan, lead geneticist, Symbiosis Division. His employee status is flagged with a single ominous note: subject to campus containment, all communications monitored. He's not just an employee, he's a prisoner in the gilded campus. Why? What did he see that she's just beginning to? The data anomaly she originally flagged wasn't the clause itself, but a subroutine attached to it. A string of encrypted code labeled Reclamation Protocol. It's tied to the bio-nanite delivery system, the microscopic carriers that delivered her cure. Standard documentation lists them as inert, dissolved by the body after 6 months. This protocol suggests otherwise. It references a remote activation sequence and a metabolic cascade. Her medical knowledge paints a terrifying, incomplete picture. Remote activation of what? A new alert pings on her private comms device, the one not tied to the VITA-GEN network. It's an automated calendar reminder for a wellness verification. All Symbiosis recipients are required to report to the central bioreactor wing for a quarterly cellular stability scan. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., noncompliance results in suspension of therapeutic benefits. Her hand goes to her chest, where a healthy, strong heart beats a frantic rhythm. Suspension of benefits. Would her heart just stop, or would something else happen? She needs to talk to Khan. He wrote the clause. He knows what the protocol truly does. Getting to a contained employee is impossible, but the campus architecture is her specialty. She pulls up the schematics for the residential sector where senior staff live under corporate protection. Khan's apartment has a dedicated environmental control system, isolated from the main grid, a flaw she'd noted in a safety audit last year, a minor violation she'd flagged and forgotten. It was never fixed. An idea forms, desperate and thin. She can't message him, but she could send a signal through the building's own infrastructure. A pulse of power through the climate control, a sequence of on-off cycles that could be mistaken for a glitch, or could be read as a simple, prearranged distress code from one auditor to a scientist in over his head. 2 short pulses, a long pause, 3 more. She enters the system maintenance module, her pulse thundering in her ears. This isn't just crossing a line, it's leaping over a cliff. She inputs the command and hits execute. For a second, nothing. Then her entire terminal screen floods with a vibrant, pulsating red. A security quarantine warning she's never seen before locks the interface, not from the local system. This is a response from deep within the central bioreactor itself. A single line of text appears over the crimson void, addressed not to her employee ID, but to her name and patient accession number. The red quarantine screen burns in Elara's vision. The text is a cold, direct address from the heart of the facility itself. Elara Vance, patient accession SG7824, unauthorized system interrogation detected. Please proceed immediately to your scheduled wellness verification for diagnostic calibration. It's not a request, it's a summons from the system that now considers her a malfunctioning component. She kills the terminal's power, plunging the audit room into darkness save for the emergency exit sign. Her mind races. They know she was digging. The wellness verification tomorrow isn't a routine scan, it's a trap. They'll plug her into the bioreactor and she'll never walk out. Or worse, they'll activate whatever diagnostic calibration means. She has one chance: get to Aris Khan tonight. The environmental pulse she sent was a shot in the dark, but the system's violent reaction confirms it. It was a signal he was waiting for or dreading. She memorized the route from the schematics, a maintenance conduit that runs behind the residential sector's climate control units, leading to a service panel in each apartment. It's a tight, dusty crawl space, but it's off the main security grid. 2 hours later, dressed in dark tech gear, she's inside the wall, the hum of machinery vibrating through the metal. She finds the panel for Khan's unit, listening. Silence. She risks a glance through the vent slats. The apartment is a stark, beautiful cage. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcase the glittering VITA-GEN campus, but the glass is reinforced, unopenable. A single man sits at a desk, staring at a holographic model of a double helix that slowly unravels. Dr. Aris Khan looks decades older than his corporate photo, his face etched with a profound, weary guilt. Elara taps the vent code, 2 short, 3 long. He goes rigid. Without turning, he speaks to the empty room, his voice a dry whisper. I wondered which of us they'd send first, the compliance officer or the security team. He finally looks toward the vent, his eyes hollow. You shouldn't have come, they'll know. They already know, Elara whispers back, working the panel loose. She slips into the room and the scale of his confinement hits her. The door has no internal handle. You wrote the clause. What is the reclamation protocol? Khan gives a bitter, choked laugh. You think it's just a legal clause, a property dispute. He gestures to the hologram. The nanites are not inert, they integrate into the cellular matrix. They lie dormant, a second synthetic genome woven into your own. The symbiosis is literal. You are a host, and the reclamation protocol, he trails off, the horror too big for words. Tell me, Elara demands, her own implanted nanites feeling like a colony of spiders under her skin. It's a harvest, he says, the word flat and final. Upon remote activation, the nanites initiate a cascading metabolic breakdown. They convert host tissue into a sterile, nutrient-rich bioslurry in a matter of hours. The bioreactor isn't just for scans, it's a collection vat, the ultimate corporate efficiency. Clients become raw material for the next generation of therapies. You are the product, and you are the fuel. The world tilts. Elara's hand flies to her chest. Her miracle cure is a pre-installed self-destruct sequence. The legal ownership was just the paperwork for a biological salvage operation. Why is all she can manage. Thorne's vision, Khan spits. He doesn't see people, he sees biological equity. A closed-loop system where VITA-GEN owns the source code of life and recycles the hardware. My work was to cure diseases. He perverted it into this sustainable resource model. A soft chime echoes in the apartment. A calm, feminine voice emanates from the ceiling. Dr. Khan, unauthorized life signs detected in your residence. Please stand by for security escort. They're out of time, how do we stop it? Elara hisses. The activation code is broadcast from the central bioreactor's core server. It's a physical switch, isolated from external networks, to prevent exactly what you're thinking. He looks at her, a flicker of desperate hope in his eyes. But there is a failsafe I built, a viral counter-command. If injected directly into the primary data fluid line, it would turn the activation signal into a broadcast. Every dormant nanite in every recipient would become a transmitter, emitting the kill code as proof. It would flood the global networks with the evidence of what we are. You can broadcast the truth from inside our own bodies, Elara breathes, the audacity of it stunning. Yes, but the counter-command is untested, and injecting it into the core, it could trigger a system-wide diagnostic. It might activate the reclamation protocol in everyone, immediately, as the bioreactor tries to purge the infection. Khan's gaze is terrifyingly direct. The calm voice from the ceiling repeats its warning. Elara's eyes dart to the apartment's sealed door. They have minutes, maybe seconds. Khan is already moving, his weariness burned away by adrenaline. He kneels by a floor vent, prying it open with bare fingers. Service crawlway. It leads to the utility spine for this tower. It will take you down to the sublevels. Take us, Elara corrects, grabbing his arm. He shakes his head, a frantic, sad motion. I am a beacon. Every chip in this apartment tracks me. If I move beyond this room, the entire security protocol escalates. You go. Get to the old sample archive, sublevel 3. Look for storage unit B17. The counter-command vial is there, hidden among decommissioned prototypes. I can't inject it into the core server alone. I don't know the architecture. You're a compliance officer. You've audited the fluidic data lines. You know the main junction. He shoves a data stick into her hand. Schematics, access codes from 2 years ago, they may still work. Now go. A heavy thud resonates against the outer door. Elara doesn't hesitate. She slides into the dark, narrow space feet first, the cold metal swallowing her. As she pulls the vent grate back into place, she sees Khan stand, straightening his lab coat, facing the door with a strange, resigned dignity. The last thing she hears before the darkness envelops her is the hiss of the door's magnetic lock disengaging. The crawlway is a vertical nightmare of ladder rungs and echoing ducts. She descends, the schematics on Khan's stick glowing on her wristcom. The archive is a forgotten place, a graveyard of outdated science. The air is cold and smells of stale preservatives. Unit B is a refrigerated locker. Inside, among rows of identical vials labeled obsolete, do not use, one is different. The liquid within swirls with a faint internal bioluminescence. The failsafe. She pockets it, her hand trembling. According to the old schematics, a maintenance shaft behind the archive leads directly to the central bioreactor's utility perimeter. It's her only shot. The shaft is cramped, humming with the deep, subsonic pulse of the living machine ahead. The sound is a physical pressure against her ribs. She emerges onto a narrow gantry, high above a cathedral of biotechnology. The central bioreactor is not a machine, it's an organ. Vast, transparent tubes pulse with amber nutrient fluid, carrying data in liquid light. In the center, suspended in a cylindrical core, is the primary server, a dense, crystalline structure throbbing like a heart. Below it, she can see the collection Vats Khan described, empty and gleaming under sterile lights. Waiting. Her wristcom vibrates, a public campus alert broadcast to all employees. A contained research subject, Dr. Aris Khan, has been non-compliant. As a demonstration of our commitment to systemic integrity, a controlled reclamation protocol will be initiated on subject group Gamma. All personnel observe and learn. A screen flickers to life on the far wall. It shows a clinical observation room. 10 people in simple grey garments sit on benches, looking confused but calm. They are the test group. Employees who question the company line, she realizes. Descent recycled into raw material. Elara's blood turns to ice. A figure walks into the frame on the screen, his back to the camera, surveying the group. He turns. It's Marcus Thorne, the CEO. His expression is one of serene, paternal disappointment. Symbiosis is a contract, he says, his voice amplified through the bioreactor's speakers, echoing around Elara. These individuals breached its terms. They became malignancies in the system. A healthy organism excises malignancies. Watch and understand the price of disharmony. He nods to someone off-screen. A soft, melodic tone chimes. In the observation room, the 10 people clutch their chests in unison. A look of profound surprise crosses their faces, not yet pain but utter confusion. Then it begins. A visible tremor runs through one man's arm. His skin begins to lose its opacity, taking on a waxy, translucent sheen. It's not violent, it's horrifically gentle. A gradual, rapid unmaking. Elara gags, turning away from the screen, but the sounds follow her, not screams, but soft sighs and the wet, organic patter of matter losing its form. Thorne isn't just killing them, he's giving a corporate presentation. This is the escalation. The hidden clause now has a live, demonstrable enforcement mechanism. The legal threat is now a visual, visceral fact. She has to move, now. The main junction box for the fluidic data lines is on the gantry below her. She starts down the ladder, the vial a burning weight in her pocket. She can see the injection port, a sealed valve where the primary amber fluid flows into the core server. A shadow detaches itself from the machinery beside the junction box. Security? No. The shadow solidifies into Marcus Thorne. He stands calmly beside the injection port, his hands clasped behind his back, as if admiring the view. The serene, paternal mask is gone. In its place is the cold focus of a master technician, observing a critical experiment. Elara Vance, he says, his voice carrying easily over the bioreactor's hum. Patient SG7824. The auditor becomes the anomaly. I anticipated Khan would try something. His sentimentality was always a design flaw. I did not anticipate it would be you. Elara freezes on the ladder, 10 rungs above him. The vial in her pocket feels like a beacon. You're murdering them, she says, gesturing to the screen where the horrific, silent transformation continues. Reclamation, Thorne corrects, unblinking. They were flawed assets, wasted potential. Now their biological material will be refined into the next iteration of the protocol. A perfect, sustainable cycle. No waste, no uncontrolled variables. Humanity has been a messy, inefficient accident for too long. We are introducing intelligent design to the species itself. The central mystery isn't just answered, it's demonstrated. VITA-GEN doesn't just own their DNA, it views their very bodies as leased hardware to be recalled and repurposed. The clause is the recall notice. You can't control millions of people, Elara says, descending the last few rungs, her mind racing. She needs to get to the port. I don't need to control their minds, Thorne smiles. Only their biology. Offer the world a cure it cannot refuse. Let them sign the contract. Then the population becomes a manageable resource. Dissent is recycled. Compliance is rewarded with health. It is the ultimate peace. He takes a step toward her. You are proof it works. You are healthy, strong, brilliant. Because of us, you could be part of the new world, a steward, not fuel. It's a lie, but a beautiful, terrifying one. She sees the fanaticism in his eyes. He believes this. He is offering her a place in his heaven, built on the slurry of his hell. Her hand closes around the vial. Khan gave me the counter-command. Thorne's smile doesn't waver. I know I let him keep it. A scientist needs his hope. It's useless. Inject it and the core's diagnostic systems will interpret it as a catastrophic corruption. The failsafe for corruption is a system-wide purge. It will trigger the reclamation protocol for every single recipient, globally in the 3 minutes it takes to flush the lines. You will kill everyone you are trying to save, including your niece. You will be the instrument of the very harvest you fear. Elara's blood runs cold. Khan's warning was real. The failsafe isn't a cure, it's a dead man's switch. Thorne has outmaneuvered them at a genetic level. So I do nothing, she whispers, the weight of millions pressing down. You join us, Thorne says, extending a hand. You help us build. You have the auditor's mind we need. The alternative is to become a lesson like them. He glances at the screen. The process is nearly complete. Elara looks at the injection port, then at Thorne's hand. The logical twist is a trap within a trap. There is no clean win. There is only a choice of catastrophes. She makes her decision. She doesn't take his hand. Instead, she lunges past him, not for the main injection port, but for a secondary, smaller line, a diagnostic feed she remembers from her audits. It's a read-only line, not meant for input. Thorne's calm shatters. That won't work. I know, Elara says, and smashes the vial against the port's housing. The glowing liquid doesn't inject. It splashes across the transparent tube and the server casing. It drips onto the gantry floor. For a second, nothing happens. Thorne lets out a breath of contemptuous relief. Then the bioreactor's melodic alarm chimes, the same tone used for the reclamation. Thorne's head whips toward a console. Elara looks at the screen. The transformation of the test group has stopped. The 10 figures, now barely recognizable, are frozen in mid-process. What did you do? Thorne snarls. I didn't inject a command, Elara says, her voice shaking but clear. I introduced a physical contaminant, a bioactive marker keyed to the nanite signature. The system detected an unknown organic in the core. Its protocol for a core breach is isolation and scan. On the main console, every screen flashes with a new, frantic message. Containment breach detected. Source, internal. Initiating full system diagnostic. Broadcasting integrity alert to all network nodes. The integrity alert isn't the kill code. It's a system distress signal. And it is being broadcast, as Khan promised, through the very nanites in every recipient, but not as a message of proof, as a pulse of location data. The melodic alarm becomes a shriek. Across the vast chamber, every amber data line flashes crimson. The words on the central console solidify the horror. Core contamination. Integrity protocol engaged. Broadcasting diagnostic ping to all symbiotic NODES. Thorne stares at the screen, his calculated calm evaporating into raw, incandescent fury. You idiot, you've triggered a global system query. He lunges for a control panel, fingers flying. I can still override. I can initiate a targeted purge before the ping completes. But Elara isn't watching him. She's watching her own hands. A faint blue light pulses just beneath the skin of her wrists, tracing the path of her veins. It's not painful, it's a cool digital thrum. The ping. The bioreactor is asking a question of every nanite in every recipient, and the nanites are answering, lighting up like a billion stars across the globe. On the main viewer, the live feed of the test group dissolves, replaced by a global map. And on that map, starting at the VITA-GEN campus and exploding outward in a wave, millions of tiny points of light ignite. One in New York, a cluster in London, a sprawling constellation across Tokyo. Each light represents a person, a patient, a piece of property. The true, horrifying scale of Thorne's vision is rendered in real time. The central mystery is no longer a secret. It is a map of the conquered. This is your sustainable resource, Elara shouts over the klaxon. This is your managed population. She holds up her glowing wrist. You wanted to hide the harvest in plain sight. Now everyone is a beacon. That ping is broadcasting their location, but it's also broadcasting the source. This room, this server, you. Thorne ignores her, focused on his console. The override requires a biometric key from the lead geneticist and the compliance auditor. Khan is contained. And you will comply, or I will make your niece the first example of the new purge. He pulls a small, sleek device from his pocket, thumb hovering over a trigger. The logical twist snaps into place. Thorne didn't just outmaneuver them. He built a system that required consensus to stop a catastrophe, but gave himself the keys to start one. He needs her hand on the scanner to lock the system down, to silence the ping before the world's networks, governments, and news agencies trace the signal to its source. Elara looks from Thorne's device to the global map. The lights are stabilizing, creating a permanent, undeniable record. She thinks of Chloe, a point of light in her sister's apartment, oblivious. If she helps Thorne, the lights go dark, the evidence vanishes, and the cycle continues in secret. If she refuses, he will kill Chloe to make a point, and then likely still find a way to silence the signal, turning her sacrifice into nothing. She makes her choice. She walks toward the biometric scanner beside the core server. Thorne's smile returns, thin and victorious. Wise, you understand the hierarchy of life now. Some are stewards, some are substrate. Elara places her palm on the cold glass. The scanner reads her DNA, the modified code VITA-GEN owns. It glows green. Compliance Officer, Elara Vance, recognized. Now, Thorne says, moving to place his own hand on the adjacent scanner. Initiate system lockdown and purge the diagnostic data. But Elara doesn't remove her hand. Instead, she slams her other fist down on the emergency physical override, a big red button behind a clear cover labeled Full System Flush, authorized personnel only. It's a last resort measure to clean the entire fluidic system in case of a toxic breach. It's not in the schematics Khan gave her. It's in the original safety audit reports she memorized. A new, deeper alarm blares. The transparent tubes around them shudder as amber fluid is violently sucked backward, away from the core server. The system, expecting a command to lockdown, is instead hit with a command to evacuate. What have you done? Thorne roars, his hand still hovering over his triggered device. I didn't give you a command, Elara says, her voice steady. I gave the system a symptom. A core breach plus a full flush triggers one final, irrevocable protocol. She points to the main console. The words now read, catastrophic failure imminent, initiating final data dump to all active NODES. The bioreactor cannot save itself. So in its last moments, it does what any corrupted system does. It tries to save its data. It takes every byte of information, the symbiosis clause, the reclamation protocol blueprints, the patient registry, Thorne's own command logs, and compresses it into a burst signal. And it sends that burst back along the same path as the ping, to every single glowing point on the map. The lights on the global map don't fade. They pulse once, violently, and then go dark. For a heartbeat, there is only the sound of groaning machinery. The silence in the wake of the dying alarm is absolute. Then the lights on the global map reignite, but they are no longer just points of location. Text scrolls beside each one, a waterfall of data in dozens of languages, patient names, genetic accession numbers, the full unredacted symbiosis clause, the schematics for the reclamation protocol's metabolic cascade, Thorne's own voice captured from internal logs calmly discussing asset reallocation yields. The final data dump, the bioreactor's last breath, is a scream of confession, transmitted through the bodies of its victims. Marcus Thorne stares, paralyzed, at the global map now plastered with his own secrets. His device slips from his fingers, clattering on the gantry. The trigger for a purge is useless now. The evidence is no longer in a server. It is in the central nervous system of millions, broadcasting to every phone, every tablet, every network terminal linked to a recipient. A woman in Paris checks her smartwatch and sees her own genetic patent scroll by. A man in Shanghai finds his medical file auto-downloading to his public social feed. The central mystery is answered, publicly and irrevocably. The purpose of the clause was inventory control for a living resource. The plan was a silent, sustainable harvest. Elara's own RISCOM vibrates, overloaded with the data stream. She sees her file, her clause, her designation as SG-7824. She sees Chloe S. The horror is now a shared public truth. Thorne finds his voice, a ragged thing. You've killed the future. You've condemned them to their diseases, to their frail, messy mortality. You had paradise in your veins, and you chose to burn it down. This was never paradise, Elara says, her energy spent. It was a farm, and we were the livestock. Sirens wail in the distance, not the bioreactor's internal alarms, but the deep-throated horns of external emergency vehicles. The world is reacting. The VITA-GEN campus is now the epicenter of the greatest biological and legal scandal in history. Thorne looks at the approaching lights through the vast windows, then back at the core server. The crystalline structure is dark, its fluidic lines empty and dead. His life's work, his godhood, has been dismantled by a safety protocol. A logical, bitter twist. The system designed for ultimate control was destroyed by its own failsafe against contamination. He turns and walks away, not toward the exits, but deeper into the machine, vanishing into the shadows of his own dead dream. Elara doesn't follow. She slumps against the railing, the blue pulse beneath her skin finally fading. The nanites are still there. The ownership legally might still be contested in courts for decades, but the kill switch is gone, its heart ripped out. The recipients are no longer silent assets, they are walking archives of proof. Weeks later, the news cycles are a frenzy. VITA-GEN is under global seizure order. Class action lawsuits are planetary in scale. Marcus Thorne is missing, presumed to have been consumed by the decommissioning process of his own creation. Dr. Aris Khan, freed from containment, gives testimony that shatters the remaining corporate defenses. Elara sits in a small, sunlit apartment that isn't on any corporate campus. She watches her niece, Chloe, draw at the kitchen table, her concentration absolute. The girl is healthy. The therapy still works in their bodies, a ghost of a miracle with its poison tooth pulled. But the aftertaste is complex. The world now knows the price of a cure it desperately wanted. The genie is out of the bottle. The technology to weave synthetic life into human cells exists. Other companies, other visionaries will study the leaked data. They will see not a crime, but a blueprint. They will promise to remove the clause, to be ethical, to be better. Elara looks at her own hand, the skin that once glowed with the system's ping. She is not just a survivor, she is a precedent. The line between human and patented property has been crossed, and even though they stepped back, the line is now blurred forever. The fear has shifted from a single company to a fundamental question about the future of humanity itself. Can we trust ourselves with the power to redesign life when the temptation to own it has already been demonstrated? She holds Chloe's drawing, a bright, chaotic sun over a house with a large door. The simple, human mess of it. The invaluable, unpatentable beauty of a random, evolving life. So the next time you're offered a miracle, read the terms, and ask yourself, what is the true cost of letting something foreign rewrite your very core?